All right, guys. See, we're live again, and thank you for joining us again. And we have been having interesting conversations in the past weeks. Today, we are hosting two amazing guests from South Africa, two ladies, and interestingly, they have very, very interesting views as well. So we're going to be having them on. We're going to have these conversations and just hear what their views are on gender-based violence we have in Africa, and excuse me, and gender inequality as well. We we launched a project to see how we can actually translate these conversations into actions, and that project is called the Noble Club. If you want to know more about the Noble Club, you can just visit our website on www.whyafricaforum.org and get to understand what the Noble Club is about. Or you can reach us, and then we'll explain to you. Um, and then in ensuring that the Noble Club actually runs well and fair, we have also called out for volunteers, for social workers, auxiliary social workers, for psychologists, to come and help us, put their tips on this and put their hands on this project for us, so we can ultimately achieve the goal that we so desire to achieve, not just in South Africa but in Africa ultimately. So the call is for Africans. We've gone that and see. So thank you very much. And I'm going to be adding. I think I have Katie already on. Yes, and let me just have our first guest comment on. Okay, actually, I have the both of them ready. The both of them on. Let's see if we have the both of them on. Yeah, guys, I've sent your request. Let's see how you take it. Good. There they are. There they are.
Hello. Hello.
That's why.
Okay, we're live, and I can see you. Hi Katie. How are you?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing just right. Thank you. And Dimple, can you hear us? How are you?
I can hear you guys. I'm good. How's
Wow.
everyone?
Oh, we are good. Are you sure you're in the right place?
Are you tired?
Mfazi, don't mention it.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So thank you all very much. It's good to have you all here live and having these conversations. Quick one before I proceed. Katie, would you just tell us who is Katie Shibambo briefly?
All right. Firstly, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Ancient, for inviting me to this live show. I really appreciate it. And so, yeah, Katie is a spoken word artist and a storyteller. I believe in the power of storytelling. So, yeah, that's who I am.
Okay. You believe in the power of storytelling. So yeah, you're gonna tell us a lot of stories today. Don't worry on this topic. All right. That's interesting. Dimple, tell us who is Dimple?
Hi. Yo, Dimple. Okay. Hi, my name is Dimple Mutau, and I'm 21 years of age. Dimple is a very realistic somebody, and she speaks her mind. Dimple is very straightforward, guys. And Dimple is quite humble, but to a certain extent.
Oh, okay.
That's her.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, good. I'll go back to you again, Katie. Actually, we have just an hour for these conversations, and having to balance the both of you is going to be quite an interesting task that I have to pull through, because usually within the hour I only have one guest. I mean, in the past weeks I've only had one guest. But then, so we're just going to be running straight to the point. Katie, how would you define gender-based violence?
Okay. Actually, I believe like gender-based violence is it's like how do I put this? It's a form of abuse, right? So I don't understand why should they be saying like gender-based violence, because I believe everyone can be subjected to some kind of abuse, right? So yeah, for me, gender-based violence is being abused either emotionally, physically, or sexually. Yeah, that's gender-based violence according to me.
All right. Dimple, I see you're struggling with your with your connection. This is what we wanted to avoid earlier. Can you hear me, Dimple?
I can hear the both of
Oh,
you.
all right, but we can barely see you
Yes.
because I keep seeing this thing cycling left, right, and center. All right, fine. It's
Are
good
you
you're
having
back.
network connection problems, Dimple?
Yes, I am.
All right, okay. As long as it
I
looks like
am,
you can
but it's
look like
not
you can
that bad.
hear me. Quick one. How would you define gender-based violence?
First and foremost, in this country, South Africa, first let's let the G be gender and not be girl, if you get what I'm saying.
No, please say that again.
GPV, can before we start doing anything, can we focus on what the G stands for? Gender.
Yeah, gender. Yeah, okay, fine.
That
Yes.
for me breaks down everything about whatever this violence is based on. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can, but I'm struggling to hear you. Your connection is poor. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps going out.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Why? Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me now?
well, it's coming and going. It's intermittent, and it's not ideal for the conversation. So I don't know. Do you want to probably switch location? Maybe move to uh, someplace with a stronger signal?
Yeah, that's doable.
Yeah. Okay. While you're at it, I'll notice when you come back again. Back to you, Katie. Quick one.
All right.
You have defined gender-based violence. You said it's an abuse, and yeah, that's how you define it. Um, I just why do you think that the issue of gender-based violence is overrated in South Africa? You think it's
Sorry,
overrated?
can you?
Do you think the issue of gender-based violence is overrated in South Africa?
Oh, overrated. I think so. I would say so because they are only concentrating on gender-based violence against women and children, right? And
Mm-hmm.
forgetting that also it's not only about that. There are men out there who are being subjected to abuse, right?
Okay.
Yes, and then I have seen also a lot of campaigns, a lot of people fighting against gender-based violence. But then my question is it really worth, like with all these campaigns, are we really to a point where we are saying now we have fought gender-based violence, now we are winning, now it is women that are being abused?
Hi, Katie. Katie. Um,
We lost
Dimple, are you back?
Kate. A part
Dimple,
of me is back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I want all parts of you back. I want you back completely. Are you sure you're back?
Yeah.
All right, Katie just
Am I
left.
not back?
Yeah, I'm sure she's gonna reconnect again. Now, if you're back, and by being back, I mean, are you in a place with a better signal? Are you in a place where you can talk and without distraction? Now, quickly, I asked you, how would you define gender-based violence? Would you please just go through that again?
In my native country, let's just let the G be the G, which is gender, not girl.
Okay.
Let us not be ignorant to the masculine just because they're externally strong, because it doesn't mean they're internally strong. That's where we come in as the feminine.
Okay.
We're here to
So,
balance everything.
I'm really struggling with the
No!
connection today. I'm really struggling with the connection today, guys. I don't know. Let's see. Do we have Katie back again? Let's see. We have Katie back. Oh, okay. So, guys, Dimple was actually explaining to Ross that if she has to define gender-based violence, and she would actually want to, first of all, highlight the G, which in her words doesn't stand for girl, stands for gender. Well, yeah, that's what we know. It stands for gender. We all know it stands for gender. So I just wanted to come back again to then explain to me. Um, she has to explain to me why she thinks they originally stand for girls and not for gender, because that's what I know. GBV stands for gender-based violence. And then she's saying, well, the G should not stand for girl. No one ever said it did. Dimple, are you back?
That's how the rest has been approached.
Tell me again, are you back?
The connection doesn't want me to be back.
I think you need to find a place with a stronger connection and a good network. I don't know. Yeah, you need to find a place with a stronger connection with a better network, and then we can come back to this live conversation again. Would you join us again yeah, you're out. Thank you. I was just gonna take you out and bring you back again. So guys, we're having these conversations. It's left, right, center, back and forth. Dimple was about to just explain to Ross that what she means by gender-based violence actually, well, she's talking about the girls. We want to talk about the silent voices. That's actually what we are discussing today. Come back again. I'm trying to tell Katie now. That's what we're talking about. Guys, do you think that in this fight against gender-based violence, do you think that there are silent voices? Please, guys, I want to hear your points. I want to hear your comment. Do you think that there are silent voices, there are voices that we are neglecting in this campaign? Do you think so? Let's hear. Do you think that there are voices that we are neglecting in this campaign?
I'm sorry about that.
All
I'm
right,
back.
welcome back, Katie. I was just asking a question. I mean, I was asking you earlier that if you think that gender-based violence is overrated in South Africa, and you answered affirmatively, and trying to explain that you believe that there's so much talk about the girl child, the woman, and everything, and not so much. So please, yeah, let me leave it back for you. I'm asking again, do you think that gender-based violence is rated in South Africa? It's overrated in South Africa, the issue of gender-based violence, please.
Yes, like I said, there are a lot of campaigns about gender-based violence. Can we please stop gender-based violence? We're standing up against gender-based violence, and they're always saying, "Men, please don't do this, don't do this." But the question is it really working? Are we seeing the results of those campaigns? You understand? So for me, it's yes, it's been done over and over again. We have seen it. December, there's 16 days of activism against abuse against women and children. It's there. But then every week, every day, you hear of someone being raped. You hear of a woman being killed in cold blood. So I don't know. I think for me, in my opinion, I think those campaigns are not really achieving the results that they ought to be achieving.
Okay, so you believe that people are saying too much about it, and they're doing less about it as well. And so it's like, well, everyone is talking about gender-based violence. I mean, it's really not there, because if it is there, I mean, all these campaigns that we're doing, that we're putting out there, should be bringing impact. We should be reducing it. So the statistics keep increasing, the campaign keep rising, right? And we say we're doing a lot. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, what I'm saying is that there's a lot that's been
Yeah.
done, right? But then the question is it achieving the results that is ought to be achieved? When you are organizing marches against gender-based violence, are we seeing results in that?
Okay. Okay. So
Yes, that is my
so
question.
now there's a question saying, what would you do differently? How would you expect us to do it different? What would you do differently in order to ensure that we get results in this quest, or rather in this fight against gender-based violence? What would you do? What would you suggest we do?
Okay, I believe that first and foremost, we need to get to the core of this, the root of gender-based violence. What is it that causes a man to wake up one day and want to inflict pain into someone that they once confessed their deepest love to? You understand? So I believe that nobody just wakes up and say, I just want to hurt you. A normal human being wouldn't just wake up and say, like, wouldn't have the pleasure by seeing themselves inflicting pain in somebody else. You understand? So I think we need to get to the cause, the core cause of gender-based violence. What is it that causes a man that once loved a woman deeply so? Maybe in like 10 years in their marriage. And then after 10 years, then mostly we hear women say, this man used to be so loving. Now they have changed. What happened? You get what I mean? So we need to understand, what is it that caused a man to change and start being violent, start abusing their wife. Understand? So getting into the core of that, I believe, actually I have read where it says that alcohol is the main cause of gender-based violence. Most often, how do I put this? Most often, men are perceived to be strong human beings,
Yes.
right? Like that's what they are like. They grew up with. They are told that you are a man, you are strong, so you can't be seen as a weak person, right? And that
Actually
makes
killing
them to end up not being able to express their feelings whenever there's
Yes.
something that is
Yes.
hurting them, whenever there is a state, maybe a state that they're going through. Let's say some things are stressing them, maybe finances or something. So they are not given that room to express themselves emotionally, to talk about it, to release it. Now, instead of showing that they need help, they go to alcohol, they drink, and then that's what makes them to end up being abusive. So now, when I'm saying we need to get to the core of this, is that let us teach our young boys to say that yes, you are a man, you are a boy, you are a man. Yes, we know, we understand that you are supposed to be strong, but at the end of the day, you are still a human being, and human
Above all.
beings have moments whereby they should cry, they should release, they should express their emotions. I think I've said a
All
lot.
right, thank you very much. I mean, yeah, you really have said a lot, and I do get it. So basically, what you're saying we should do differently, or what you said you would do differently, is educating the young boys. Is that not it? Educating the young boys and saying, you know what, you are human above all. Even though you're a man, you're first human, and you have feelings, you have weaknesses. That's what you're saying. Now we should educate the young boy. Now, Dimple, uh, most of Katie's point was in a way revealing the uh, what's word now, revealing the popular acception, the general belief of men being very strong and dominant, and then she's actually giving it out and say, you know what, men are strong, men are fine, but they really need to be heard. Do you think men are the only ones who need to be heard? How about the women?
We're hearing women mostly. Oh, we hear about the she's all the time, my brother. It's always women and children who need to be protected.
Okay. So you think the
Yeah.
voices of the women are loud enough? You think the voices of the women are loud
Pardon?
enough? You think the voices of the women are loud
Yeah.
enough already? And so it's
Yeah.
time for us to
Check how ignorant the whole world is towards the male child. Check how we raise our boys. If he comes back crying from the street, we tell him, no, go be a man and fight your battles. You understand?
Exactly.
When it's a
okay.
girl, we're like, oh, sorry, shame, you'll be fine. Guys, boys need love. They do. What
Exactly.
kind of men are we grooming them to be when we don't give them that support they need? Emotions is not a bad thing. It makes us who we are. It makes us human. And everyone is allowed to be emotional. I'm not saying men should be crybabies, but there is that one time, just one, my sister, one. You need to listen. And women don't know this, but it's actually their strong point. Listening. Guys, we can listen. Only if you keep that in practice and you know when and how to use it, it's gonna go
Mhm.
far.
All right. Thank you very much. A quick one. Now you see, the society has groomed us this way. This is a society that we have actually come into, society that thinks that men are
Yes.
dominant, men are strong, men have two muscles, men have seven bones, men have seven heads, men can do anything. A man can just, can barge into a door and the whole house go crumbling, men have superpowers. That's society that we've run into.
Yeah.
Now, what part of the society is the educational system training to help men in this? I mean, we have social workers, right? We have doctors, we have psychologists, we have engineers, we have pilots, whatever it is. Now, what structure in the society that the educational system is putting in place that men or women or whoever feel the need to want to talk can run to? What structure? I mean, that's your question, Katie.
I have seen social workers um being called out whenever maybe a child is showing some kind of behavior that is not ideal. So what happens is that when a teacher picks that up, they contact a social worker that will come to school and then talk to a child and find ways to how they can make that child to behave well at school.
Okay, so you think the social workers are the structure that the government or the educational system is raising to help deal with some of these issues? Okay,
Yes.
now there's a question there in the timeline, and I'm going to throw that to you, Dimple, and I'm also maybe just what depending on what you say, I will see whether or not Katie agrees. Now, seeing a psychologist, who needs to see a psychologist? Is it the one who is running crazy, the one who is about to go crazy, or the one who just needs somebody to talk to? Dimple?
Who needs a psychologist between who?
Who needs to go see a psychologist? Is it the one who is running, who is crazy? Is it the crazy one, or the one who's about to go crazy, or the one who just needs someone to talk to?
All three of them.
All three of them. All right, thank you. Now, I'm just a follow-up question on your response. If I leave my house now and I tell my friends, hey guys, I'll be back just now, I want to go see a psychologist. As soon as I leave, you hear, yo, he's about to go mad. Yo, psychologist. Yo, 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 yo. When he comes, guys, please stay away from that guy. He's do. Psychologist. Why? Why do you think that is it? Yes, Dimple, why?
In our communities, I mean the black ones, we have this judgment. We already cloud what a psychologist is. We like psychologist, psycho, yay, yahlani. You know, we be like, this person is crazy. And we actually don't educate ourselves as a nation. We don't educate our offsprings about mental health, financial education, those type of things, you understand. So when we're older and we were not founded in such a manner that mental health is to be dealt with from time to time, we just have this view about it, man. And we are very judgmental. We prejudge. We're like, psychologist, no, I'm okay. Therapy, I don't need therapy. Who needs therapy? No, I don't need therapy. But we don't actually look into it. And that's one of the ingredients that is cooking up this whole mess.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Quick one. And I'm going to go back to you again. I mean, do you agree with her, Katie?
Yeah, I totally agree. And another thing about that is that, like I said before, men don't want to be seen as weak.
That is
Understand?
wrong.
So, like for us women, when I see that here I'm about to go crazy, this is too heavy for me, it's easy for me to go and seek help. But then with a man, the moment he thinks, Ish, what if my neighbor finds out? What if so and so finds out? What if? And then they end up not doing it because they think that their friends will perceive them as weak.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
You said something earlier in your earlier point that when a child does something, or child misbehavior, or a child is going through a process or a phase at school, or learner, I'll use a learner, the teacher would usually contact the social worker to come on board. Now, that's a system that the educational system, or rather the structure that the educational system has put in place. Oh, when there is a problem, call us or call those people. Only when you perceive a problem, right? And do you think that's right?
Yes. Yeah, I think you just made a point there and it made me realize that it's not in some sense, because at some point your kid might not show that kind of a behavior at school.
Secretive children.
Maybe they might show it while they are home, playing with their friends or anything like that. So even a parent will not say, no, this child is not behaving somehow, let me call someone for help. They don't do that. So I think somehow this system is lacking.
Okay. And in addition to what you just said, I mean, it is often common for parents to see a child misbehaving and like, where did you learn this? You learned this at school, right? It's always going to be at school. They never believe that these things are learned from home. Or it's that thing of, you got this from your father. You got this from your father. Is that not true? Right?
And they get scolded for that. Sometimes they are scolded for
so
that.
We're passing blame.
And that never solves anything. I mean, a child that is like beaten every time they do wrong, they don't grow up okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen that.
That's the point. And yeah, we're also going to go back to that. But those are part of the silent voices. Those are from experience. Now, Dimple, quickly, I'm just going to go back to the question I asked her earlier. Do you think that it is the right thing to, or rather, how would you, can you hear me? Actually, your network is broken. How would you suggest that we actually right the wrongs of the society in actually restructuring the structure that we have in place by saying, no, guys, we don't need to wait only when we find signs of of abuse in our children before we call the social workers? How would you propose that the government or the educational system do it differently?
Can we, as the people and concerned about our health, not put our health in the hands of the governing powers? Can we not do that? Can we take it upon ourselves as parents to teach our children? Just teach them.
Okay.
This is how both healthy and unhealthy systems are implemented. Teach the young. They're much teachable. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So that's the name of the game. You have to teach it from an early age that you speak when there's something wrong. This thing of raising children to get everything they want at the time they want, it raises people who can't accept rejection. And it gets the whole world to be rotten.
All right, thank you. I mean, there's a point there that came up earlier. I mean, Dimple, thank you very much. A point came up earlier. It said, I mean, I'm just going to read it. It's not a question. It said, how do we create space for men? Let me go back there quickly. It said, how do we create space for men to express their emotions when the society view them as powerful and resistant to pain? How do we do that? That's the point you guys have actually raised earlier. And then for Dimple, from the point you just made, you've actually touched on the last question that says, so how should we groom our children? You're saying we should teach them to speak up. We should teach them to understand that they don't have superpowers. That's the truth. That is right. That is very correct. I'm going to go back to you again, Katie, from the point we've been talking about. Do you think there is need? And I'm throwing this question to you because of the project that we are launching in schools right now. I think you all should come on board actually. With the project that we're launching in schools right now, I'm throwing that question to you. Do you think that we need social workers, we need psychologists in schools? Not only when we sense that there's trouble, they need to be in the presence, in the environment, the school environment. They need to be able to connect with these children. Children need to be able to, the same way some psychologists are actually operating in workspaces, right? There are some companies that have psychologists in their company, right? And then you want to talk to somebody, you can go see the psychologist. I mean, don't you think that we need people like this, social workers, psychologists in the school environment that children can always go to and talk to? What do you think?
I totally agree because as I've said earlier, that it's not all the time that the teacher is going to pick up when the child has like an issue that needs to be addressed by a psychologist or a social worker. So when we have that kind of a system in place whereby if a child, whenever they're like told that whenever there is anything at home that is bothering you, that makes you feel uncomfortable in any way, there is someone that you can talk to. Someone that, especially like when a child knows that that person doesn't know them, and then they get like they just going to be free. You understand, to talk to them. So if we have that kind of a system in place, that will really, really help a lot.
You think so? All right, thank you. Well, I mean, you just give us a thumbs up now on our project. Thank you. Yes, it's what we're trying to do. It's what we're launching in a few weeks time.
That is amazing.
I want you all to come on board. I mean, that's interesting. Thank you. Now, Dimple, we still seem to have a lot of. And I'm going to throw this question to the both of you. So, Katie, please get ready to answer the same question. Have you either experienced or witnessed a case of abuse? I mean, if you're comfortable to share, if you're not comfortable to share, it's just a point of yes or no.
Is
right?
it just physical? Is it just physical abuse? Is just abuse in general?
Any form of abuse, anything that you consider as abuse.
I've witnessed abuse in a lot of angles, and I've been in a few experiences of abuse. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I mean, are you comfortable to share? It's a yes or no. I mean,
yes, I am.
All right, let's see.
Okay. I think I was about 17. This guy was asking me out, and we were getting along. And right there, this other day, he saw some other guy asking me out. So he thought I was playing him and the guy. And so he wanted to hit me. He was like, yeah. And then he was like, I was like, oh, so now you're going to hit me. And I hit back and I ran. And that's the last time I saw him. And
You
then
hit back.
seeing abuse, this was done to a man. This was done to a man. They had really, really long lifespan of this relationship, these guys. Ne? So the lady was, I can say, dehumanizing him. I'm sorry if you can't hear me, but that's the best way to put it. She was just indignifying this guy. She was just peeling the guy off, saying that you did this, you did that, you got a small penis. Your mama did this, and that. Your sister this. You don't support your children. You don't do this, you don't do that. You know, when you hit me, ne, you can come back and stitch wherever you hurt me, and you can be like, I'm sorry, and you can actually touch where you hurt me. But then when you say things, you don't know where they go. You don't know.
We're losing you, Dimple. You were actually really getting deep and deep. And I mean, I'll come back to you just in case you can hear me. I mean, your last statement there actually is very, very deep. I mean, when you say when you hit me, it is not in any way, this is a disclaimer, it is not in any way condoning physical abuse. But when you hit me, you can stitch it up. But when you tear me down with words, you can never make it up. Oh, thank you. That's so deep. And I think she has problem with her connection. She left. Katie, do you have an experience with us? For us, rather.
Yeah, actually, I do. There. And coming to think of it, this made me realize that at some point when we are very young, we don't know whether we are being abused or we are being disciplined. Right? So what I experienced at a young age, at that time, I thought it was just a discipline, like totally discipline. And when I think about it right now and I get so emotional about it, I realize that no, man, that was like abuse, right? So what happened is that my grandmother, who's passed on, and yeah, what happened is that she used to be like so emotionally abusive, like
I can't hear the first lady
the way she was shouting and swearing and all that, I would literally shake. And I remember there was this other time I will never forget. She shouted at me. She shouted at me and told me, I was like this young girl, 6 years old. She told me how I'm not, like, we are not grateful and all that. And like she was like putting the things that other people did to her on me, and I actually felt guilty and bad about them. I remember like literally crying the whole night at an age of about, I think I was like 6, 7, somewhere there, crying the whole night. It was so traumatic. I don't wanna lie to you, and like very draining. And then yeah, that's the experience that I got. And like I said to you, maybe in her eyes she was disciplining me. She wasn't like doing it intentionally. But then what actually I don't understand is that why would she make me cry and not have a problem about it, right? So I think maybe that is how she was treated. Maybe that is how she was, like, I don't know, like put in place when she was disciplined. Maybe that's how she was born, and that's how she thought this is how I should do it.
Okay.
You understand? But for me, it, it wasn't only for me. It was actually for me and my little sister. It was like emotionally draining. Like so like I wouldn't want to go through that ever again, and I wouldn't want any kid to go through that. So like I said earlier, abuse can be in different forms. For me, it wasn't like physical, but it was emotional.
Thank you.
So
I mean,
yeah.
just a quick one. Sharing your experience now, and it dates back to, I would want to say, 12 years ago or more, or 15 years. And you're saying you were 6 or 7, so it dates back to more than 10 years ago. Of course, you're not 16 or 17 anymore, I can see. Yeah. So, would you say you have actually overcome that trauma? Have you healed from that trauma? The trauma?
I have actually. Thank you for asking that. Oh, are you asking
I'm
Dimple?
asking you. Dimpo is off now. Would you say? Would you
All
say?
right. Yes. So I have.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for asking that question. I have, and I had to first forgive my grandmother before I could heal, because like I said to you, there was a moment where I couldn't understand why would she want to hurt us? Why would she want to hurt me? Why is it that how does she feel when she sees us crying because of her words? Does she feel good about herself or anything like that? And so I had to like try to understand her while growing up, because she passed away in 2010. It's like 2010, 11 years ago. Like growing up, I had to like get really down into it to say she was my grandmother. I mean, grandmothers are supposed to be like loving to their grandchildren and all that. Why was she like this to us? And then only to find out that she had a mental disorder, which is bipolar. So, which answered all my questions to say that it wasn't like her. It wasn't her who wanted to do that. She, deep down, she had the love for us. She did. I know that, because there were moments where she showed us the love. But then because of that condition, she was acting the way she did. And that really made me forgive her. And I healed from that. And I try to spread out this message into the world to say that sometimes try to get to like understand the other person that is abusing you, that is like emotionally abusing you or doing some things to you. Just try to be like, to get in their shoes, that just try to sympathize with them and try to understand what is it that causes them to be like this. And so I believe that when we do that, if we try to sympathize, to have that grace toward another person, then they will have the courage to change. I
All
believe.
right. Thank you very much. I'm gonna come to you, Dimpo. Thank you. I mean, you did say a lot, and that's true. So I actually asked that question because I saw a comment there saying I don't think that you can erase the trauma of physical abuse. Yes, you can't erase the trauma, but at the point, I think with what you're saying, you healed. You might not. I mean, you might see a child being abused the same way you were abused, and it reminds you of that trauma, that experience. Okay, but at a point you have been able to do away with it and heal within, and say, you know what, I will never go through that again. I'll never allow myself to go through that, or anyone around me. Well, that is a point where we need psychologists. Now, let's imagine that when you went through that, right, as a young child, you had a psychologist or a social worker at school that you could go back to the next day and say, this is what happened, and it could help you through it. Imagine how much help that would have done, how much good that would have done. Because now you can talk to grandma, like you said, she was bipolar, and you can talk to grandma because in the African system, African society, grandma is always correct, and grandma will never apologize. Don't, don't,
And you can't even tell. No one would
no
even
one would defend
defend
you.
you. No one will even stop her to say,
Don't,
please
yeah,
don't stop, because she
she's
is.
grandma, she's grandma. So yeah,
You're right.
so but then if I couldn't go to grandma to go ask her, no, what you're doing is wrong, and because I don't want to get hit again, I don't want to get abused again, and I can talk to no one, but I should have somebody at school that when I go to tomorrow and say, this is the thing. They don't really need to go home and go confront grandma. They just need to help me go through the process, you know, and that's me seeking
Absolutely.
help.
Absolutely.
So that brings us to the point where we actually are saying, you know, we need this help within and around our schools. You know,
Need
the
it. We
silent
need it.
voices need to be heard. You know, within and around our schools. Quick one, Dimple. Where do we draw the line? Because she said she thought she was being disciplined, only for her now to realize that, man, that was way just that's a little notch above being disciplined. That was abuse. Dimple, where do we draw the line between discipline and abuse? Are we supposed to discipline our children? If you say yes, how? And at what point do we then cross the boundary and become abusive?
Okay, I'm gonna use my mom as a reference and
Dimple
an
is offline.
example. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, please. Katie, can you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I thought you
All
were
Now
right.
asking
we
Dimple the
can hear you.
question.
Yeah. So this question, please.
Should
No,
I
it's for
answer?
Dimple. She's going to talk about her
Okay,
mother as
from my side, I can hear.
Okay.
I see her network is back. Dimple, please proceed.
Yebo. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, my mom would literally just sit me down and look at me straight in the eye and tell me, Dimple, I did not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because A, B, C, D, and E. Ne? And that is one of the best ways to discipline someone. And then what she would do also, she'd make me realize that she didn't like something I did. And then from there, avoid me. I'd be like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she'd be like, so quiet. It's like I'm not even there. Mom, I'm thirsty. Mom, can you please prepare for me a bath? And she would like legit not give me attention. She
Are you able to hear
Yeah,
her?
I hear her.
she opened something in me. She made
Okay,
me
great.
see the side
Because
of the
I
parent
can't hear anything.
that gets hurt when I, as a child, hurt her. So she'd hit me back, but not physically. She wouldn't even shout. She just avoid me, legit.
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and she was disciplining me.
So, at what point do you think she would have gone and become abusive? I'm going to relate it to you, Katie. I know you can hear her. Don't say what she said. At what point do you think would she have gone and become abusive?
My mom, abusive.
That question is for me.
Okay, for Dimple.
Yo, physically, like straight up
Okay.
physically hitting me, that
Sorry.
would be abuse.
That's it. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Yes. She
Katie.
would never slap. She'd never punch. She'd never even shout.
All right. Thank you. You can hear me. Katie can hear me, but apparently Katie cannot hear you. So I'm going to just relate what you
And I
said.
can hear her.
So I don't know what's wrong with you guys. I don't know what's
Okay.
happening. Are you sure you guys are not mute or something? Yeah, but I'll come back there. Now this is it, guys. Katie Dimple said that she was going to use her mother as a reference case, and she said that growing up, her mother never hit her. Each time she did anything wrong, her mother sits her down, look her right straight in the eyes, and say, "Dimple, I didn't like what you did because you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I didn't like it because of A, B, C, D, and E. You know, that was it. That's good, right?" And it says she would actually learn. However, she went further to say that after mom says that, mom goes blank and mute. So, mom, I'm hungry. Mom, I want to take a bath. Mom, whatever it is, mom says nothing. And she doesn't say anything until, according to her, it made her really realize that, I hurt mom. She's upset, you know, and this is how mom is actually making me realize that I really did hurt her. You know what I'm saying? And then my follow-up question, I mean, which means that mom would neglect her completely. That's the point. She would neglect her completely, right? Not necessarily neglect her in sense of out of sight, but yeah, or whatever's happened to you, and I don't care. You are. I don't know whether Instagram has mute. You are currently on my bad book right now. Now, just fairness. And then I asked her, at what point would she have gone abusive? Her response was, if she had gone straight up to hit me physically, she would have been abusive. But I believe not in a way to not in a way to counter what she has said. Neither am I going to maybe question her experience. But don't you think that's a form of emotional abuse when I just keep quiet?
It is.
However, because I've had conversations with people who actually have similar experiences, maybe not entirely the same, and then the response is, I would have been abusive if I didn't tell you what you did and I went quiet. Right? If I didn't tell you what you did and I went quiet straight up, then you'll be wondering, man, these guys have been physically.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. But I'm not abusive since I told you what you did, and I'm just deciding to be quiet. I mean, I have the right to be angry, right? I have the right to be upset, innit? So, yeah, I don't think that's abuse. Going completely quiet. But wait, as a child needs to bath. Mom, I want to bath. Mom says nothing. Mom, I want to eat. Mom says nothing. Mom, I'm hungry. Mom says, I think that's abuse.
It is abuse.
It's abuse, right? That's what I think. But well, if it works for her, if she comes up right now and says, you know what, I can say my mom wasn't abusive, and because she did 1, 2, 3 to me, and then it worked for her, then that's good, that's fine. But I think that there are better ways to deal with stuff. I mean, Dimple, you did X, Y, Z. Tell me, why did you do it? Dimple, sit down and explain why you did it. I don't like it because of 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, like, really, what do you think? Do you think that's right? Dimple tells me, what? I don't know you didn't like it. I didn't know you didn't like it because I did it because of 1, 2, 3, 4. So I liked it. But Dimple, but that's not right. If you do it like this is the consequences. Do you really want to continue doing that? No, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, I'm sorry, Mom. Right? Now we're good. No abuse. Right? Now we need to differentiate between abuse and discipline. Yes, I was trying to. I'm going to give that. Mom has feelings too. Whoa. Mom has feelings too. Yeah. Dimple. Sorry. Katie, what do you think about that? About the fact that we need to. Yes, I didn't ask you the question. I asked Dimple, how do you differentiate between at what point do you draw the line between discipline and abuse? Let's hear. We have 5 minutes to go.
That's for Dimple, right?
You. Dimple is out of here right now. It's you. Tell me. Yeah. At what point do you draw the line between discipline and abuse?
Okay, your question.
At what point do you draw the line?
Please
At what point do you draw the line between discipline and abuse?
Okay, I think a parent should know that now I've done a lot. I don't know how to put this. If a parent, like in Dimple's situation, if her mother was like not giving her food, like inwardly she should know, but she's gonna starve.
Okay, wait.
You get my point. Yes, we should.
She didn't say. Mom might not say take food, but mom knows that if you really are hungry, probably there's a place where you can go get food. I mean, there's a what? Oh, yeah. So right now, don't talk to me. Don't say nothing. I'm angry. I'm upset. You've annoyed me. Like someone said, I have feelings too. So, boom.
Yeah, I hear that. Like I said, she was supposed to have, like, okay, in my case personally, she was supposed to, my grandmother was supposed to see that, but here is the child, she's so little and she's crying, and like the whole night she's crying. I mean, what I'm doing is wrong. that's how she should differentiate. No, maybe I was a little bit harder to her. So let me just sit down with her and apologize to say that I'm sorry if I hurt you. You get my point? Like if a parent really is in their right mind, they love you as their child, then they shouldn't intentionally inflict pain on you, whether emotionally or physically.
All right,
So
thank you. You've been really amazing. And just as I wrap up, I have a question there, and it's directed at me. So let me take it. Mr. Ancient, growing up, do you think you were abused instead of disciplined? If I have to be honest with you, when I sit here and I look, okay, let me quickly accept Dimple. Yeah. If I have to be honest with you, when I sit right here where I am right now, and I look back at my days growing up and how I was either disciplined or corrected, I would say that growing up, I was not abused. I was disciplined. And I'll tell you why. It may have been any form of discipline. My parents may have used corporal punishment on me. My parents may have used whatever form of discipline that they thought was right at that time on me. But the truth is, when I sit here, every time I think of what my father or my mother did to correct me, right? I see a reason why they did it, which means that if my dad says now, kneel down there, right? And then he comes and he did whatever he wants to do to me. He doesn't do it. I'm not like, what did I do? I'm not, it's not a matter of what did I do? I know I have messed up. As a matter of fact, as soon as I do it, I know heaven is falling on me today. You know that. So my parents never did it. And I'm like, what did I do?
Mama knows.
I knew what I did.
Mama
I knew what
knows.
I was quite an adventurous child, right? Growing up, I was quite an adventurous child. I wouldn't classify myself as a stubborn child because I was very adventurous. All right. So at any point where my dad has to come in the picture to put me in the right path, believe me, I myself know that. But at that point, I didn't like it. No, I didn't like it. Of course, I didn't like it. But when I sit down and look at it, I think, that's it. It may not have been the best at that time. It may not have been the best way to deal with it. And that's maybe not how I would discipline my children right now. But the thing is, not knowing why you are being corrected, disciplined, or shut out is the worst form of abuse. It causes so much trouble. I knew why I did everything. My dad would even tell you that if he heard this kid, he would tell you, for doing this and this and this, power. For doing this and this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? If you say no, I didn't do it, and he pauses, okay, he wants to hear. Then explain why didn't you do? Why? What do you mean you didn't do it? If you can defend yourself, then it's fine. You know what I'm saying? So growing up as a young man, as a young boy in such a society that I grew up in, we needed to be held with a tough hand. That was it. But right now, when I sit, I know that there are better ways he could have handled it. You understand? I know that there are better ways he could have handled it. And these are the ways when I look at myself, I know, well, there are better ways we can handle this when we cannot continue on the same path that our parents have gone through, and dealing this with us. That is actually one of the reasons why we're saying we're bringing this platform to people even at school to say, hey, you know what? You don't need to go home and face that anymore. What is it? Let's talk about it. We've had such an interesting session. I don't know if anyone has a closing remark. I'll start with you. The talk is really not so good. So Dimpo, what's your closing remark? Okay, I'm struggling to connect again with Dimple. I'm going to quickly go back to Katie. Katie, what's your closing remark, please?
yeah, at the end of the day, we want to groom our children to be the best that they can be, right? And then I believe that by doing that, we should teach them.
I can't hear you.
As I said in the beginning, that a boy child should be let know that they are humans and therefore they should express themselves, right? And then also we need to teach them about the power of love, I believe that there is power in love, that in a sense that whoever abuses us or whoever is bullying us, for instance, like children are being bullied at school, whoever is bullying us or abusing us, in order for us to make sure that they don't do it to the other kid or to the other person, then we should exercise love instead of going home and telling a mother this so and so is doing this, or telling a teacher this so and so is doing this, so they should be punished. No, punishing someone else is not going to solve a problem. We should teach them the power of love, sympathizing with that person, understanding where do they come from. Okay, if a child is being bullied at school, or maybe if a child is being abused at home, when they tell the teacher should understand that this person needs someone to talk to in order to release whatever they should be releasing. Not to say that this person should, like, we should call cops on this person because it's child abuse. Because at the end of the day, this person, when they come back from prison or wherever they being held, they will come back and do the same.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Katie. I don't know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Silence in the court.
Are you still there? Yes, that's it. We should teach them the power of love, to say that sympathize, get to understand where is this person coming from, why are they doing what they're doing. So yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you very much, guys. You guys have been really wonderful, and this conversation has not ended. We're going to have these conversations more and more again, and please just be ready. I'll call on any of you anytime, both of you anytime, to come back again live, and then we can continue on this conversation. It is such a broad topic that we cannot finish in one day. And also, quickly just putting it out to you, we will be having a town hall meeting to discuss issues like these, bringing everybody on board, going to a community and having a town hall meeting in June. Hopefully, we are looking at on June 16th, all right? Having a town hall meeting, together and having a conversation in a community. Because we believe that there are a lot of people who would love to learn from these conversations, but they do not have access to these platforms that we are having right now. So we're taking it to the community. And so this town hall meeting will be happening within the period of the June 16th. I'm not sure the team is still deciding on the date. It could be on the 14th, could be on the 15th, could be on the 16th, could be on the 17th. But within that period, we are seeing how we're having the town hall. And I'm going to invite you all, please. I'm going to invite you all to come and then make your contributions. Now let's do this together. Let's have these conversations going on together. Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you so much, Dimple. And like I said, my line is always open. You all have any suggestion, you have any contribution, you have any ways, please reach out to me anytime that we can have this conversation. And I'm holding on to you guys right now. I'm actually holding you guys by the wrist right now. And I'm saying I'm dragging you guys along, and you have to be part of our project that we have learned, that we are launching at school. It's called the Noble Club. The Noble Club is the name of the project that we have, where we are bringing these people and these important stakeholders, like social workers, psychologists, and whatnot, to come help us. We cannot leave this work for the teachers alone. We cannot call on psychologists only when we have observed that there's a problem. There is always a problem. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much for such an amazing time. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you guys again when we have this conversation. Thank you. I'll see you guys next week, same time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you all.